So I'd like to ask you all, how often do you get to do this? If you ask me what am I talking about, wait and see. Space is a bit limited here. Okay. How often do you get to ride your bike through a hotel lobby like this? I guess not very often, eh? Man, and she's squeaking. Gonna have to grease up all the shocks on this thing. Good morning, Lian Joel. Now that was an awesome hotel, a very pleasant place. A couple of stories. First story is, okay, there were these sort of pretty young girls working behind the counter. And when I came in after dinner, they insisted that I take photos with them. Alright, you know, that happens quite often in China. No biggie. Anyway, later on, they phoned my room. Well, you know, the reception phoned my room. So I thought, you know, what could be the issue? They phoned me because they wanted my QQ number. That's pretty funny. It's pretty forward of them. Anyway, I'm gonna save my battery for important stuff. Chat to you guys later.
Right, now, that wasn't really the be-all and the end-all. You know, after they asked me for my QQ number, which I told them I didn't know, because, you know, one thing you got to know about me is that if I'm in any kind of a relationship, I'm just not up for cheating or anything. I've never cheated on anyone before. That's just not who I am. People who know me know that. So, you know, I just wouldn't even go down that road. So I told them I, you know, didn't know my QQ number. So they said okay, hung up, and then at about midnight they called me again and asked me if I wanted to go out and have fun with them. Now, this is something you got to understand in China. It's very common for people to say to you, 要不要跟我们一起玩, or, you know, 我们一起玩吧. It means like, if literal translation means let's have fun together, all right, or let's play together. Now, it's not kind of what you think. That usually just means let's go out for dinner and you know, maybe go to KTV, or let's just go out and, I don't know, like take a walk in the park or whatever. It's not quite the same meaning. If a Western girl came up to you and said, let's go have fun together, you'd probably have a different idea in your mind. But, you know, when a Chinese person, and it's common, men and women will say this to you, like, 我们一起玩吧, just means let's go out and have fun together. So it's innocent. It's not anything, you know, it's nothing dirty. Anyway, so I obviously had to refuse them and told them I had an early starter, had to go to sleep. So anyway, if I was single though.
So this is how it stands. I'm going to be heading along there. Apparently it's going to run next to a river for a good while, maybe 100 k's or so, which is nice. Yeah, so far making good progress this morning, and it's been a nice ride too. Let's go take a look at this road. Well, look at this lovely river that I'm riding next to. It's pretty awesome, isn't it? Let's... really an awesome river. Let's see where it goes. It's a very nice road as well.
these kinds of roads that make these trips worthwhile. Okay, of course the mountainous twisty roads are more fun and usually more beautiful, but these lovely sort of scenic spots that you pass through, this is what makes the trip really, special. This going along this river here, it's just beautiful. You've got the wind and the temperature's great. Summer being very hot here, you've got this nice cool wind, lovely smooth empty road, and beautiful lake and scenery. This is kind of why we do this.
Right, so I've done pretty well this morning. I've only got 268 k's left to Huizhou. I must bear in mind it's about another 100 k's down to Shenzhen. But I just need to get to Huizhou, chill out, meet with those guys, and then tonight late I'll head into Shenzhen. It's not a big deal, but I'm doing really well. These roads are fairly straight. I can keep a pretty constant speed. Currently 6,301 k's on the clock. So let's get a move on, shall we? Right, so I had an interesting incident. I was coming down a road. Yeah, so I take a right, okay. It's coming down this hill, and there was this huge, I don't know how you would say, a troop of traffic police. The guys with the white hats. And one of them stepped out and raised his hand and waved me to the side. So I thought, shit, that's the last thing I need now. I think I'm supposed to go over here. I don't know if bikes are allowed over the big bridge. Looks nice, but I'll give it a skip. So anyway, guy waves me to the side, so I thought, shit, here we go. Because look, this bike is registered, it's legal. I do have my driver's license, but I don't have my passport right now. It's in at the Public Security Bureau. And who knows, there's you just never know what kind of trouble's going to happen whenever you deal with the police. So anyway, I slowed down. Thinking to myself, should I try to just go past and ignore him, or should I stop? And I thought, well, let's do the right thing and just stop. So I did. So I just pulled just past the guy and came to a halt. He turned his head to look at me, and then he turned back to look forward, and he kept on waving. He was waving down a truck, a big truck, not me. So it just so happened that I was in front of this massive truck. What is this? It's like a bike-specific bridge. Okay. So I lucked out there. That's been my only encounter with the police, actually, this whole trip. Anyway, this town I've just passed through, it's called Yingde. Absolute shithole. All I can say is avoid it if you can. Just a dirty, horrible, disgusting place. Certainly not a place I'd ever want to stay in. And I guess I'm getting closer and closer to Guangzhou. I'm not entirely sure. I can check the map, but I guess I'm just north of Guangzhou somewhere. Which might explain why their towns are all looking so shit. They're just trying to emulate their big brother Guangzhou. Anyway, enough of that nonsense. It's time for me to continue on. Catch up with you guys later. Alright, on review, I feel I've been a little unfair about this little town that I was riding through at the time. It probably wasn't as bad as I was making it out to be. But there's a reason why I was in such a bad mood. Anytime you get near to Guangzhou, that whole area of the Pearl River Delta is basically a mess. I say that, what I mean is it's factories, it's all about production, it's all about, shipping and all this kind of thing. So it's terrible. The roads are awful. The roads are packed full of these massive trucks, like these really disgusting, horrible
diesel belching trucks that are falling apart, loaded to the brim with goods, being shipped everywhere and coming out of the factories, etc., etc. And riding on those roads is probably one of the worst experiences anyone could ever have, because first of all, it's incredibly dangerous. The truck drivers drive like absolute maniacs. All the other cars and various vehicles on the road are also driving like absolute maniacs, darting in and out everywhere. It's always this constant dusty haze of diesel fumes and dust and construction leftovers. And most of the time the roads themselves are so destroyed from the trucks that they're half under construction anyway, and if they're not under construction, they're just a mess. So riding through that for an hour or two, or however long I had been riding before I reached this town, obviously just made my entire mood into the usual sort of screw this place mood, which happens whenever I ride anywhere near Guangzhou. So that would explain my current bad attitude. So maybe that town wasn't so bad, but in my memory anyway it was. Now what you can see here is I finally got past the top of Guangzhou, which, like I said, was just one of the worst experiences riding through this disgusting, horrible mess. It's like riding on the surface of the moon. Anyway, I finally got past all that nonsense and ended up in Zhangcheng, which is one of the most beautiful parts of Guangdong. It's technically part of Guangzhou, but it's not really. It's a good hour's ride or drive out of the Guangzhou city center, and it's some sort of a nature reserve area. So of course there are no factories and there's nothing like that nearby, and it's very well looked after. And some of the best riding in Guangdong is actually in this area. There are mountains. There's the highest waterfall in Guangdong is here, and it's a very pleasant little town, and of course there are a lot of logging trails, and that's where we go off-roading, me and my friends. So this was a very nice little respite from obviously all the nonsense. But as I was riding through Zhangcheng, it actually started to rain, which as well wasn't too bad, because it had been a very hot, dusty, terrible afternoon. I tried to get a hold of some of my friends who live up in Zhangcheng, but they were all busy, so I just stopped for a very short while, and then I continued through to Huizhou to go and meet Seamilk and Ben and that bunch of people. And in fact, that is when I made the following video. So it was directly after my trip. We went for all-you-can-eat and drink Japanese and all that, and then obviously I went and stayed over at Seamilk's place and left very early in the morning, once I'd sobered up obviously, and got stuck in the middle of a massive typhoon, the likes of which you very rarely see. It was absolutely awful. And I didn't have the presence of mind to turn my camera on because I was trying to keep myself alive. But once I'd gotten through the worst of it, well, here you can see what happened next.
You guys have absolutely no idea what I've just been through. Right now there's a typhoon, and now the road is lit. I've just been through a patch where there's been absolutely no road lines. Soaked through. The only way I actually survived or saw where I was going was by following that occasional white line in the middle of the road. All I can say is that it's been a hell of a gamble. I mean, the downpour was just insane. Now, shit. Yeah, I think I have to turn here. Do I? Here. Yeah. This is where I have to turn. Once again, I can barely see anything. Whoa, fucking hell. Just rode through a bloody river. This is not cool. At least it's lit. Earlier it was not lit at all. It's just absolutely terrifying. It's amazing how the weather can change. But I tell you what, every single bloody time I leave Huizhou after visiting Sea Milk and Ben, every single time I ride home, it's some piece of shit storm like this. I'm not joking. Doesn't matter if it's winter or summer. It's like it's cursed every single time I ride home from those guys. I end up in this absolute terrible fucking storm. I'm soaked through. I can barely see what's going on. It's bloody windy, rainy, downpour, typhoon bullshit. And holy shit. I don't know if I'm gonna make it home or what. All I can do is keep trying. I mean, this is just ridiculous. Whoa, I'm in like a river. This is not a fucking road, this is a river. I don't know if you guys can see this on the camera, probably not, but this thing is like a couple inches deep. The water is just everywhere. It's quite a testament to this bike though. In fact,
Well guys, that brings us to the end of the Grand Guilin Adventure. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I of course do have a lot more unused footage, which it's just not enough time for me to put it in. This has already been a very long series already. I just really wish that I'd had this kind of camera equipment and this setup in some of my previous adventures. For instance, the fantastic Fujian adventure, which you can watch, but I didn't really have any kind of action camera, so it's just my handheld, this camera that I'm using to record this. So it's not that great, but in my memory it was a fantastic adventure. I would like to do that again someday, and if you enjoy these kind of adventure videos that I've been doing, stick around. There are going to be plenty of them in the future, don't worry. It's one of the highlights for me living in China, is being able to go out and explore China on a motorcycle. It's one of my big passions in life, and stick around, you'll see more of that. Especially now that my shop is being established, we're going to plan to do these sort of epic Churchill custom rides through China to some very specifically cool places. So stick around for that, and I'm looking forward to all of that in the future. So guys, once again, thank you very much for watching this. This has been an incredibly long series. For those of you who stuck through the whole thing, thank you, and I appreciate your support and your interest, and I'll see you in the next adventure. I do have quite a few little small ones that are already recorded I can put up soon. But yeah, until next time guys, stay awesome.